Hello everybody, I'm Raven Karasu, and I have no idea how much lag this thing has at the moment, and I have something in my eye. I have cocoa fiber in my eye. I just put a fresh bit of coconut fiber down in Gandalf's tank. Oh God, I thought I got it all off my hands. Anyway, for those who were watching the last video, I pretty much was focusing on my geckos. The tanks are set back up again, so the girls have pretty much kind of found their place to hang out for the day. Just finished Gandalf's tank, and he's in there. He's definitely worn out. I put him in the hamster ball, and he actually did figure it out pretty quickly. So he's not as dumb as he lets on. So he ran around the room here, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go outside. So I took him outside with me, and he went back and forth on the porch in the little ball. So definitely funny. I tried to feed the girls, but they would not eat. So I'll try them later this evening. Merlin may not eat at all because, like I said, she actually just shed, so she may not eat today. But you may notice this little bump here. It's not my boob. It's oh God, it itches though. It's Voodoo. Voodoo decided she did not want to be in the tank. She kept trying to climb out of it. She's so grumpy. She took a few snaps at me. She got me in the nose in the last video. It didn't hurt. It was just, she got me on the finger a couple times, and she kind of got my thumb or finger outside because I had her outside with me. She's just in a really grumpy mood. She's had enough of Merlin, and I don't know. She's just in a really grumpy mood today. So she wanted to be with me, and she wanted to hang out with me and snuggle with me and sleep with me. So she's going to be my companion while I work today. So I don't know exactly how much I talked about last time because I don't know when my video before last was. I think it was the beginning of April. I'm so sorry. It's driving me crazy. I can't get it out of my eye. But I did start my bachelor's degree. I'm on the third week of my first class, and I've already started registering for 2 classes for next term. So that'll be nice. I finished reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. We were supposed to pick a classic literature piece and a contemporary piece, and I chose Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for my classic, and Silver Eyes by Scott Cawthon and Kira Breed Risley. I remember talking about that, so I think I've actually mentioned that before. So I finished Frankenstein, and it actually wasn't too bad. Very minor things I actually didn't like, but overall it was actually a pretty good story, and definitely a lot better than Dracula. Oh God, Dracula was awful. So I actually have to write up a little something. I had to actually get the page open to see exactly what I'm supposed to write. But I'm supposed to write a little something about it and turn that in. It's actually due next week, but since I finished, might as well just do it now and just go ahead and start my contemporary piece. And I can't start my contemporary piece until I do this, mostly because I don't want to get anything mixed up. Considering I read it on my Kindle Fire, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. Beep beeps. Yeah, I don't have any of my sounds turned off, so you'll probably hear a ton of sounds. There's one of them. So, so sorry if you hear that. I don't feel like messing with it right now. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to do this because I don't have page numbers. Well, they said basically I had to pick a chapter and a paragraph, so I'm hoping that's all I have to do because I can do that. Of course, then again, going through 25 chapters trying to figure out what I want to say is going to be a pain in the ass too. Okay, enough. Skype, turn the hell off. Enough. Shush. Okay. Now that we got that taken care of, I put myself on Do Not Disturb. Should have done that first. It's been a while. All right. Sorry about that. Seems like every time I go to do one of these things, the phone's ringing. Everybody wants to chat with me. People want to talk to me. Someone's knocking at the door. So it's just, I don't know. Everyone wants me as soon as I'm broadcasting. Everybody wants to talk to me. They hardly talk to me at all when I'm not broadcasting. But as soon as I'm broadcasting, everybody in the world needs to talk to me right this second. So where was I? So yeah, I'm in week 3 of that, and there's not a whole lot to do. There's a discussion I have to do this week, and a journal. I think I have a few things to read. It's not a whole lot of stuff to do. I think it provides just the right amount of challenge. Excuse me, I wore myself out doing these tanks and chasing Gandalf all over the porch. So yeah, even though it seems like an easy class, it generally is. It has just enough challenge where I have to kind of test myself. And I think it's because, the textbook talks about actual, inside jargon and really specific things, It's like, I don't understand anything that's in my textbook at this point. That's kind of a sad thing. I honestly, I have no idea whatsoever what the heck my textbook is talking about. I have not followed anything that I've read. I don't understand any of it. But despite that, I actually do pretty well in general. But not understanding the text actually, it matters a little. But so far it hasn't been like a major issue. Because I know what I'm talking about. I just can't use all the technical terms and stuff like that. I don't work that way. I can't explain it that way. I just kind of explain what I do and what I perceive. I don't look at it from the technical point of view. I just look at it as what I've learned along the way. So that kind of makes it a little challenging for me. She's kind of squirmy. She's like, Mom, I want to go to sleep. You got hair on your face. Okay, I got it. I got it, baby girl. She looks a little better. She would not open her eyes earlier. She was so damn tired. She got a little bit of a nap in, so she's awake but a little grumpy. Let me see what else. Speaking of writing and jargon, I was thinking about maybe, I'm not entirely sure yet, but maybe writing a book about the advice I can give aspiring authors, kind of what I learned around the way, instead of having to worry about all these really technical terms and stuff like that. I don't work that way. So, I can only tell you what I learned from experience. So I thought about doing that. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm still kind of toying with the idea. Aside from that, not this past weekend. This was Easter weekend, but the weekend before, I published a novella or novelette. I don't know. I have to look and see exactly what defines each one. But I published one called The Old Man, and it is part of the Revenants of Embry series. But it's, like I said, it's smaller, so it actually is part of Revenant Tales. But since it was over 100 pages, I went ahead and published the paperback version of it. It's still not on Barnes & Noble yet. The ebook is on Barnes & Noble's, but the paperback is not yet on Barnes & Noble. I don't know why it's taking so long. but it's up everywhere else, as far as I know. I'll probably get a small inventory of that within the next month. I'm actually working on several pieces. I started 3 other stories from the Revenants of Embry. I started One Touch, but I was having a really hard time working on it and what I wanted to do with it, so I went to start on one of the other pieces called Wish, but I was listening to something on my MP3 player, and I ended up getting inspired to do the cover, not just for Wish, but for another piece in the series called Lacey's Wish. And Lacey's Wish is actually a really interesting one. I actually thought up the story way back my sophomore year of high school. Sorry, I'm having a hard time moving my jaw. But back at that time, it wasn't really thought out, and the whole idea was very different. The only thing that was similar is that there was a character named Lacey. She had an older sister who was very talented, and she wanted to learn how to ice skate. I actually have tried several times to try and write it, but nothing ever really worked out. But this time, I actually put Lacey's Wish in the Revenants of Embry series, and I actually got a lot of ideas I could try. But in the meantime, while I can work a little bit still on it, I'm actually in the process of researching figure skating, on ice dancing, and one of my friends is an ice skater. She is a figure skater, so she is actually giving me some advice on that. So that'll help. It's actually a lot harder to research this. I've actually tried researching figure skating a few times, and I just had such a hard time doing it without somebody more familiar there to just, talk it out with me. It's not like when I researched culturing pearls. That was so much easier to research. But I did start that one. I did start Wish. And I was going to work on Wish some more this morning, but I actually got in a really interesting mood this morning. So I actually restarted for the 3rd time Lord of the Maples 2, The Snow Queen. I had tried a few times now to try and get that thing started, and I was having so much trouble. But I finally got some information that I really needed, and I kind of sat back and thought about it a little more, and I still got some more kinks to work out. But I finally started working on that again, and I feel a lot better this time around. So I'm hoping this is the one. This is the time I actually get it. But all that being said, I'm actually trying to get ready to put together a second sample piece. For those who remember, I have a free sample book called Raven Karasu's Story Sampler, Volume 1. Well, this is going to be Volume 2, because I'm about where I need to be. I try to do it every 5 publications, with some exceptions. Like Lord of the Maples, the first book, will be in the second sampler. But Lord of the Maples 2 will not. In fact, any of the sequels will not be in any of the samplers, because it is a chronological piece. And I didn't want to do that. Likely, Vladimir is going to be the same way. When I start publishing the Vladimir series, the first one will go in a sampler, but none of the subsequent ones will. Possible spin-offs might, like I'm working on some research and brainstorming for a prequel series called The Gospel of Vladimir, and there are also spin-off series as well. Like there's one called Sweet that I'm trying to figure out how to redo. So like the first Vladimir story would be in a sampler. The first story in the Gospel of Vladimir would be in a sampler, and the first story of Sweet would be in a sampler, but nothing subsequent after that. The only actual exception to this rule is The Revenant of Embry, because it's not told in a chronological order and doesn't have a singular linear story, but also not a single linear way of it being written, I guess is the best way of saying it. So because I do it so differently, and they're not in any particular order, and they're so different from one another because it's not just the same characters over and over again, it's a different story each time, that one will actually be in the samplers. So like this time around, if The Old Man, which is the first one I published, would be in the sampler. And if I finished one of the other ones, One Touch, Wish, Lacey's Wish, A Whistle in the Graveyard, I Remember, stuff like that, if I do one of those next, there would be a sample from those as well, because it's not super connected to the point where I'd spoil much of anything. The Revenant Tales pieces, the novellas, novelettes, or whatever, if they're long enough, they will have a paperback publication. I'm trying so hard to talk, y'all. I'm so sorry. If one of the Revenant Tales is long enough, it will get a paperback publication. If it gets a paperback publication, a sample will go in the sampler, but it may not be as large as something like Lord of the Maples. Like Lord of the Maples, I'd probably do between 5 and 7 chapters in the sampler. But for like The Old Man, I'd probably do maybe 3 chapters because of the size. So those ones, the shorter books with a paperback release will have smaller samples, obviously, because it's just how it is. That being said, Revenant Tales may not have its own actual contribution to a sampler unless there's actually short stories that are exclusive to the collection. So if it's too small for a paperback edition, it'll just be exclusive to the Revenant Tales. In which case, if it's long enough to be its own short story, it'll get an ebook release and then be in Revenant Tales, but there won't be a paperback release. If the story is too short for a publication, I won't do a publication in ebook format. I'll just keep it in Revenant Tales. And I'll do kind of like I did with the first sampler, where I'll just pick one of the short stories and put that in there. In the first edition I did, Resonance, I think it was. Yeah, Resonance was, I put that in the sampler. So that's kind of what's up right now. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything. Now, also in the sampler will be, I'm not sure how much yet. I have to actually go over it and decide how much goes in. But I'll also be putting a sample of Imaginary Friends, Not Just Kid Stuff, which is my first nonfiction piece. That'll be in the second sampler. I just don't know how much is going to go in it. Excuse me. Because it's not a very long book. It's actually quite small, and it only has a few chapters in it. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Trying to think of if there's anything I'm missing. I honestly can't think of anything. So hopefully that I actually covered everything. So yeah, I haven't dropped off the face of the planet. I've just been keeping very busy. And I'm getting all kinds of animal snuggles. My kitties are snuggling me. My geckos are snuggling me. So um, I honestly can't think of anything else. So I'm just going to go ahead and just end it here. And we'll talk to each other some more next time. So until next time, see ya. How do you move? All right.